Oh, what is that?
They're not hard right now.
They're not hard right now? It's the one time that I'm looking forward to that shit. Candy from the smoke shop. I'm over here testing my microphone, so. Shit actually irritates me.
Perfect.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna go outside in this heat. Y'all ever get a Taki that's so juicy, so succulent? I mean, just you ever get a Taki that's just too good, and you just gotta crunch it like that. I just felt. I'm sorry. This podcast is not gonna turn to ASMR. Marrying gay. They used to sing that all day, but don't let the gays marry. What's up with you? It's your girl, Wild to the Ways, all up in the place. And here we are with our second episode of Bree's Earthly Life Studies. And today we are talking about grief, how everything is temporary, how to cope, how to learn to let go. I ain't mean to let that go, but we gotta let go of everything sometime and somehow in some way. This episode is not meant to be anything sad or depressing or anything. Yes, we are talking about grief. Yes, we are talking about how everything in life is temporary. Even life itself is temporary. And the existence that we have been behold is still temporary in itself. But I am here to talk about advice. I'm here to talk about the reality of things. I just feel like this episode really connects with the last episode about fear and how you can't let fear manifest your life. You have to be able to get over these things. How you have to, sometimes even when getting over our fears and facing our fears, we're still going to face rejection. Sometimes we're still going to face loss. Sometimes you're not going to get that job. You're not going to get that girl. Sometimes the work that you've been working so hard for that situation, that person, that whatever it may be, that school, career, whatever, a hobby. Sometimes you build so much, and one day, no matter what happens in life, you have to let it go. Everything that you have that is so precious to you, whether it's passed down to somebody that you care for after you pass away or not, everything is going to be gone one day. Everything is temporary. In this universe of infinity, everything within it is still only temporary. All of the good, the bad, the in-between is but only temporary in comparison to infinity. With every beginning comes its end, and even in the theory of one having a beginning with no coming in, there was still a time where this thing or being has ceased to exist. In life comes death, and with death comes new life. Everything that happens in between life is all just temporary. All relationships, even if carried on into infinity or the next life or reality, are continuously ever changing. The feelings and energies and experiences you exchange will always ever change. All the material things you hold in your hand today will one day be gone with the wind, just to be blown into something new again. The life you work to build over your journey will be gone at some time and date that passes every coming day, not just the timeline of your life, but all the work and loved ones that is left behind. Even the world and solar system that we reside will one day be a memory to the infinite divine. But what does this mean for us conscious beings? Does this mean that nothing matters as we come from nothing will become nothing once again? Or does every little thing matter in an unexplainable reality where anything can come from the question of something? Well, that's a question for when we talk about different philosophies such as nihilism, existentialism, or overall absurdism. But today, we are talking about grief, how everything is temporary, and how we can cope and learn advice about letting go and moving on with the process of the ever-changing universe that we reside in. I'm here to bring us together so we can help each other guide through this human experience, just like I do in every other episode. So this is not supposed to be anything depressing. This isn't supposed to be anything sad. Oh, we're talking about grief, death, the end of things, loss of opportunity, whatever. But guess what, babe? In life, you need change. You need movement. You need grief. You need to learn how to process these emotions that you have for these things. Once again, without fear, like we said in the last episode, if we didn't fear things, did we really appreciate them in the first place? Same thing with grief. If you're not grieving something, if you don't have some form of emotion of grief or process of grief for something when you lose something, did you ever really love it? Did you ever really want it? Did you ever really feel like you needed it? Well, today we're talking about how to process this situation. And I got advice from my Instagram polls from different people about how they process grief. And I also have advice from people about how to better appreciate this experience that is ever so temporary. Because everything is temporary, we must learn how to properly let go whenever we have that control. We know emotions are really hard to deal with sometimes, and depending on the situation or connection or whatever it may be, grief is a lot harder to deal with. With the reality of infinite change, that means that we're letting go of things that we have such a strong hold over again and again and again. We're experiencing grief again and again and again. So what is grief? And what can we experience grief for? Grief is the natural response to losing something or someone important to you. Grief can be triggered by different events such as, death, divorce, breakups, losing a job, losing your opportunities, your home, whatever it may be, you can grieve. You can even grieve parts of yourself. Yes, sometimes you're looking back at pictures, videos, whatever it may be, of the good old days or whatever it may be to whatever you're looking through. Or even just past versions of yourself. You look at yourself and go, damn, sometimes I miss her. I don't miss everything about her or him or whoever you may be. But sometimes I do miss elements of who I once was, because even in life, we are only temporary. These stages that we go through in life are only temporary, and sometimes we miss them, but we must grieve them. We must not hold on to old versions of ourselves, or we will never become anything new. Same thing with situations and relations. With grief, you experience a wide variety of emotions, which mostly have to do with anger and sadness, of course. And most people know about the 5 stages of grief. So what are these 5 stages of grief? The 5 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. As outlined by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and I'm so sorry if I butchered that. Kubler-Ross? I don't know. I'm sorry.
I'm not German.
I am, just a little bit. The first stage of grief being denial. This initial stage serves as a defense mechanism to help individuals cope with the overwhelming pain of loss. During denial, people may struggle to accept the reality of the situation, often feeling numb or in shock overall. In denial, this stage allows people time to gradually absorb the news and really process, okay, this is different. Anger being the second stage of grief. As denial fades, individuals may experience anger. This anger can be directed towards themselves, others, or even the deceased. It often stems from the feeling of helplessness and frustration regarding the situation. Anger may manifest in various ways, including irritability and resentment, which makes sense. Mom, why you leave me? Grandma, you left me, and all, the family fell apart after that. Like, what the heck? Or like, relationship breakup. I got this going on. I gotta change my whole life around. It makes sense to be upset with all the confusion and the heavy amounts of emotion coming towards you with this dramatic change in life. Bargaining being our third step of grief. Individuals may attempt to regain control by making deals or bargains, often with higher power. They might think, if only I had done this differently, maybe they would still be here, or maybe the situation would still be happening. This stage reflects the desire to reverse the loss or to mitigate its impact. Our fourth stage of grief being depression. As the reality of loss sets in, feelings of sadness and despair may arise. This stage can involve withdrawal from social interactions and a sense of emptiness. It is a natural response to the profound sense of loss and can be a time for reflection. This is definitely the time where these emotions, these heavy emotions, set in about the situation. It's definitely more than anger. It's more than sadness. It's confusion. It's loss. It's change. I don't know who I am without this person or situation in some way, even if I do know who I am on the inside. Our final stage of grief being acceptance. The final stage involves coming to terms with the loss. Acceptance does not mean forgetting or moving on. Rather, it signifies a recognition of the new reality and finding a way to live with it. Individuals may start to adjust to life without the person or thing that they have lost. Even though in depression we have realized and we are struggling with the fact of this thing or this person or this situation is gone out of our life, we are able to accept it now that we are in the stage of acceptance. It doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I'm ready to go move on, or, oh, screw great uncle Tim, whatever whatever it may be. It doesn't mean that it's just gone from your mind completely. Grief comes in waves. These things are gonna hit you no matter the night or the day. You're gonna be 65 and you're still gonna be like, damn, my papa died in 2019, but I miss him still. Life is like that. So how long does grief last? A few different sources said that it typically takes about 6 months, but as I just said, life with grief is like an ocean. It's gonna come in waves, it'll calm down, and sometimes it'll overtake what you have set up on land in thinking that the tide would never rise so high. Grief will come when you least expect it, from smells to songs to food to just conversations and pictures and memories, or just a thought will come to your mind, maybe even just in a dream. But these things that you have grieved, even if you have already gone through all your stages of acceptance and everything, you've gone through these human experiences, so they will come back up to you, and that's just how grief goes. Hey, improvise with them hits, baby. Hypnotize me. Yeah, it's the extra. I'm telling y'all, Takis from the Mexican store, Cuban stores, wherever you go. Mostly the Mexican stores, though, because that's where I be at. They hit different. Half this podcast has been a mukbang, and y'all don't even know it. So when looking at grief, what are some of the main ways that people react to grief? I, of course, observed this. I looked back at my personal experiences, and I asked around in real life, and I had polls, obviously, I told you guys about. Some of the responses that I've gotten from my Instagram polls, I asked the question, what is some of the ways that you deal with grief? Or what are some of the ways that you advise people to deal with grief, Isolation versus a support system. I had some people say that they like to isolate whenever they're grieving. They like to be by themselves to process their own emotions, to figure themselves out, to not be overwhelmed with other people telling them how to feel. Some people like to isolate depending on the situation, depending on what we're grieving. And honestly, I feel it. Depending on what I'm grieving, I do like to isolate a little bit. Not the whole time, and definitely not for everything. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have some people that said, and I quote, I found that being with my friends is one of the best ways to cope. Otherwise, I isolate. Not healthy. So, once again, it depends on who you are, how you feel, and I guess the situation that whatever may be. I'm honestly the type of girl that I'm going to test the waters. If I feel like, okay, I need people right now, in my intuition, I'm going to go out to people. And a lot of times that I go to myself first about my own emotions. I try to deal with them by myself and whatever higher powers that I speak to. Also, in relation to grief, ridding of what hold us back and celebrating what once was through positive experience. We have Kayla's response, which was a lot of objects, gifts, memories like recipes, clothes, etc. hold so much to them. Get rid of what is no longer good from exes, toxic friends, or family members that do no longer serve you or are not good towards you or don't bring good positive energy or anything towards your life that you need to grieve off of you. Practice what your loved ones who passed away did. Bake that special cake, watch their shows. You've lost an important person. You probably need more support than ever. Go out, call family, etc. So Her response also relates to our last response, which is isolation versus support system. And then our next one, basically revolving around appreciating what you do and don't have. I had one response that said, I count my blessings and acknowledge that other people have it worse, as fucked up as it is. Quote unquote. Honestly, that was one of the points I made in my notes, is sometimes you do have to humble yourself. Sometimes you do need to look at yourself and say, hey, this situation sucks. It sucks that I don't have this thing or person. Or sometimes we grieve things, or sometimes we have all this sadness for things that we don't have, that we never actually had our hand on. And you have to really look at yourself and say, you know what? Life could really be worse. There are some people on this earth right now that can't even think that, because of the horrible things that they are being put through on this planet. They can't even look at life and say, you know what? It's okay. It could be worse, when they're living in war zones, especially as small children. Some of our adults in our life might have told us that when we started complaining about, I don't have this toy, or I don't have this, or I don't like to eat this, that, and the other, and oh, I wanted to stay longer at this place. It's like, look, some kids don't have this privilege. Some children don't get to be children. And that's one thing that I was taught as a child, is some children don't get to be children. And sometimes you do have to humble yourself and saying, you know what? My situation could be worse, and I need to appreciate what I have while I have it. And then we have our response from Dale, which is, it's not the end, it's goodbye for now. The universe recycles energies and you will meet again. Because in life, once again, everything is temporary, everything cycles. What is meant to be will come to be, and everything else will go on into infinity. Everything is temporary. And you just have to breathe in, breathe out, give in, let go. It's not that simple, but really that's what we have to do. And then her last response is...
I put a whole bag of jelly beans up my ass.
Other than those responses, I have written down seeking support of a mental health professional, practicing better self-care, daily care, or developing a new routine may help you out in this time of grief. Some people change to a healthier diet, exercise routine, and sleep schedule when possible, pushing past grief in order to get their life back on track, as to say. And then, of course, celebrating the ones we love. But some people have trouble coping with grief, as we all have our own situations that may be harder to deal with than others. And a lot of people tend to look for quick fixes and distractions, and that is how people get caught up in negative habits, especially if they already had negative habits, or it is hereditary for people to have negative habits in their life, such as addiction and whatnot. And a lot of people may indulge in these negative habits when going through difficult emotions during grief. So what is grief if we had no appreciation for anything? We would grieve nothing if we had no love, care, or appreciation for it. We wouldn't grieve losing someone in life or relation if we didn't love or appreciate them in the first place. This relates to my last episode, like I was saying earlier, about fear and how if people knew, oh, I'll see you next time, you wouldn't appreciate them as much this time. If we weren't scared for people to leave us, if we weren't scared to lose what we've worked for, why would you work so hard for it? If we had nothing we feared to lose, we would just lose appreciation for life as a whole. For example, was that dream or opportunity really something you wanted with your mind, body, and soul if you simply let it go with having no type of grieving emotion towards losing it? It's one thing to be mature about how to deal with our emotions and being an adult about the whole process and, not lashing out on people and overreacting and letting our emotions overtake us. But if you have none at all, did you ever really appreciate it? Sometimes we get entirely absorbed with someone or something that we infatuate, that we lose focus. And when we lose it, these illusions can be taken away from our eyes to see that there are better things to spend our temporary time appreciating more after you appreciated that experience. And knowing that our time is so limited, we should take more time to analyze what we are spending our energy on exactly. Analyzing why we expel these negative emotions in these situations, such as arguing or loss and whatnot will really help us figure out how to better connect with other people and ourselves, and how to better react and recept our environment around us. Instead of letting it absorb us and make us waste this temporary time on these temporary emotions and situations. When we do that, we waste less time and find more time for calm, for breathing, and to look at the joys in life and truly absorb that positive energy instead. Because even the positive things are temporary, and we can't let them get away from us by being so absorbed in the temporary negativity in life. If you love your person, don't let these negative emotions get you completely absorbed and blow up and completely forget why you're even upset in the first place. Try to work on your reactions. Try to work on how you use your energy that is so temporary. This relationship, and no matter if you take it to the grave, it is still only temporary, because your life is only temporary. So really working on your emotional reactions, really working on who you see yourself as, how you can see other people, and expanding from that and allowing yourself to grow from that by observing and letting go and not holding on to these emotions or these versions of yourself, this pride, this idea of who you are and what you're not willing to sacrifice, or even idea of who other people are and what you're not willing to see. When we let go of these things and we're willing to step back and analyze our energy, we learn to not waste as much of this temporary experience on these negative situations. Everything will be gone one day. So while you're here, take this temporary time to appreciate. You don't want to look back when you're old and on your deathbed or whatever it may be and be like, dang, I really wasted my time with these people. I really wasted my energy on these things that didn't really serve what I felt my life purpose was. I was really absorbed into what everybody else wanted. I was really absorbed into what I once wanted, and I didn't know how to let go of, or to realize that I could have better or do better. How we choose to react and interact in life is how our life forms around us, how our environment forms around us. Of course, you cannot control everything that is going on in your life. You cannot control what is going on politically, environmentally, all of these things, but you can control what you do as an individual. So you can choose to let go of things instead of absorbing yourself in these situations. And you can choose to do the hard thing, which is letting go. You can choose to do the hard thing, which is also appreciating the things that get on your damn nerves, or that really shake you up, or the things that you have that aren't as good as you wanted them to be, but they'll be gone one day. You got that crappy car, but you remember when you didn't even have a car and you couldn't even get to a job that would help you raise money to get a car? Who cares if you don't have the newest model? You got a car. It's back to that whole humble yourself thing, you know? To grow as a soul and to love and appreciate all of the some things that came from nothing. And as a result, even with giving all your love and appreciation that you have for something with all the mixed emotions that comes with it, after it passes and it is no longer, you must find a way to come to conclusion with that. Yes, we can reference them or the thing or whatever it may be over and over again, but we must not hold on too tightly to these memories as if we are still living inside of them. Playing reruns of your favorite episodes over and over and over again and not continuing on into new seasons. Take high school for experience. A lot of people talk about it for the rest of their life. No matter what it is, high school is a time of your life where you come in as a child and you leave in as an adult. No matter how this time in your life went for you, you are a completely different person. You have grieved different stages of who you were from the beginning to the end. And whether you peaked or not in high school, you gotta let that shit go. It really built a core part of who you are. A lot of people developed who they really were, or at least a key part of who they would become in this time of their life. But it's still a time of your life that you cannot hold on to as if you're still living in it over and over and over again. We take elements of who we are and we continue journeying through life. During that time and during any time of your life, you make these relationships, you develop these hobbies and habits and everything that one day you will not have anymore. So like, don't be that guy in the movie that's in his like 40s and 50s in the group of friends and he's still reflecting on his high school sweetheart that's married and rich and everything, and he's a bum and an electrician. What is that, like half the Adam Sandler movies or something? Early 2000 movies, I don't know. You don't want to be that guy at the high school reunion. They gotta be like, yeah, 20 years later, I'm still doing all the same shit, because you don't know how to let go. You're a different person today than you were a few weeks ago, even if it's just the slightest bit. We are constantly changing. And a year from now, you're going to look back and say, damn, I'm a different person. You might miss parts of you, and you might not miss yourself at all. And if you don't miss yourself at all, and you can breathe and say you're in a better place, then I'd say you went through all your stages of grief. You let go of that version of yourself, and you're in a better place, which is what happens with life. All the things that happen to you, all the emotions you experience, and all the people you may know that you have left behind is in the past, even if it still affects you in the present day or the future. Are you coming to drink my drink? Oh. No! It's a sip. No. Not really. Don't.
It's a sip.
No. Motherfucker, you drank most of it. I had a glass and a half, man. You don't... Give it to me. Give it to me. Stop. Just let me get a little more. Just let me...
You're an ass. You're not even fucking drinking it.
I chugged it all.
Okay.
Don't move the camera. So in life we have a choice. A choice not to waste time. Oh my. Looking at every single little negative thing that goes on in our life, choosing to argue over everything, on, instead of taking the steps we know that we have learned in the past to resolve these situations or lessen their impact. Choosing to indulge in negative people or habits that we know are not good for us just because we are familiar or comfortable with them. Because we'd rather hold on tightly to the shards of a broken image than to appreciate the memory and the lessons and to let it go, accepting that if we accept change while listening to our intuition and whatever universal sources there may be to thee, we have infinitely other possibilities. Holding on too tightly will prevent you from being able to grasp at new opportunities. You can't manifest new when you're committed to the glue, aka being stuck. Your situations are truly temporary. These bad times will pass, but so will good, so be cautious and smart about what you give your energy to. Humble yourself and remind yourself what you need to appreciate sometimes, as we were talking about earlier. Because some people don't have the privilege to compare what's worse to their situation because of what they have been forced to go through. Be grateful for what you do have while you do have it. I'm not telling you all to not ask for more, especially in this universe where we can manifest our best realities. But what I mean is simply losing appreciation for what we do have temporarily in these temporary chapters of our life really takes an impact on oneself. Even if the universe has it written in the stars that one day you will be rich and famous and do all these things, this, that, and the other, that doesn't mean that you don't appreciate that your mom literally worked from sun up to sundown to get you where you had to be. That doesn't mean that you don't still appreciate that she took the effort, that she took the time, and that she took the life that she had inside of her and energy she had inside of her or him or whoever it may be that raised you, or even what you have done for yourself. That doesn't mean not to look back and appreciate all the progress you've been through, all the hurt, all the loss, all the pain, all the emotions, all the journeys that you went through. It doesn't mean to just lose appreciation when you get to the top. You don't forget where the seed has been planted. You don't forget where you have rooted from. When a tree gets all the way up to the sky, it doesn't forget that it is still rooted into the ground. So in a life that is so temporary, how do we bring more appreciation to our life? How do we bring more joy? How do we appreciate these memories, these experiences, these positive things that have come to us in our life, that has come through and pass on? How do we let go of those things, but also have a positive hold on them? Not to be absorbed in these old situations, but to have a keepsake of so. And how to value it more while we have it. One response I have that just straight up says laughing, all caps, no nothing else. And I appreciate that. Because in life we do need a what's the quote they put on the walls? Live, laugh, love. Head ass. What? I mean, it's cringy. I mean, but facts. Live, laugh, love. It's the secret ingredients to every mom's kitchen. I have another response from Kayla. And that says, taking keepsakes home and journaling those great moments and feelings. In which I love because I have several boxes. If anything, I go through every few years and I really go through it like, okay, what do I not actually need in here? So I'm not just holding on to too much weight of my past, you know what I mean? And I get to look back at all my old memories. Sometimes I do catch myself. Sometimes my man will catch myself. And when I get too absorbed in looking back at memories, I'll spend hours, y'all. I'll spend hours looking back at pictures and this, that, and the other. So that's why sometimes I will take time and go through and get rid of some things that I no longer need. Some of my personal response, though, keeping photos, keeping photo albums. Oh my God, everything is on the internet nowadays. One day you're gonna be old, you're not gonna be able to work your little things, or whatever. You're gonna lose your accounts, whatever it may be. Maybe the grid will just shut down. Babe, what would you say you would do for how to find more appreciation and joy for the temporary things in life? Art. That's how I show appreciation for life. This is physical. I make copies of this, send them out. See, but I don't want to let go. That's the thing. I don't want to grieve a lot of these pieces.
The only true way to show appreciation towards life is just do what makes you happy.
That is true. The only true way to show appreciation, yeah, whatever the hell that was. What he said. That's the simplest way to put it.
Just do whatever makes you happy. That's the simplest and most true way to show that you really appreciate life by doing what you want to do.
True.
Don't live life doing what everyone else wants you to do.
Yeah, don't live life doing what everybody else wants you to do. If y'all see my BU Chickaboo, my video in the car talks from the heart. So, question of the day. End of the line. Question of the day. The question of the day that I have for you guys is, what do you typically have a hard time letting go of? And how do you work towards release? Or what's some advice that others had for you that you have to share with others, or advice that you just have that you would like to share for others in order to help people learn how to better appreciate the temporaries that we have in life, and any advice that you want to help others with on letting go of things in life? How to woosaw. I love you guys, and I hope you guys are blessed. Y'all are protected. Baby, you have anything you would like to...
Stay cool, stay in school, and don't smoke crack.
I knew it. I literally mouthed it. I was like, don't smoke crack. Okay.
Don't smoke crack.
Okay, don't take that last advice. take the first one.
Stay in school and smoke
Hey,
crack.
don't smoke crack. Okay. Love y'all. Bye.
Tell me phone, you've nowhere to go.